I am made in the image and likeness of God, the infinite divine creator.
As such, I am a creative being.
I am here to intentionally create.
I expand in abundance, success, and love every day as I inspire those around me to do the same.
And those words are what we have been exploring this month. We've been exploring what they really, really mean in our lives. And I understand from talking to a number of you that I've pushed a few buttons this month. I've had a number of you say, yeah, thanks a lot for talking about our upper limits. Thanks a lot for talking about my safe problems. I was just fine before you brought that to my attention, and now I have to look at it all. And to that, I say, you're welcome. Good. You're welcome. Because that means I'm doing my job. Because my job is, I don't know if you know this or not, but this is what we learn in ministerial school. The minister's job is to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. So I know this month I am doing my job, and I'm very, very happy about that. So our theme has actually been a roadmap for living in joy. And what I've said every Sunday is that when we are living from that place of divine creativity, creating a life of a life that we love and doing that which we're called to do, and exactly what that amazing song says. Is that a Disney song? Is that what you said? It's from Zootopia. What a great song, that I am out there to live, and I may fail, but I'm still out there to live. When we are engaged in the process of and making progress in creation, we are at our highest level of joy. Absolutely, it is absolutely the case. So that's where we've been exploring this month. And today we're going to wrap the month up based on a quote from Hildegard von Bingen, who is a 16th century Christian monk. And she said, she talked about the green growing edge of our becoming. That we must all live on the green growing edge of our becoming. And to me, that means that we are all meant to grow in our awareness, in our inner knowing, and our expression of the divine being of God that we are. That we are meant to walk right up to that edge, and walk off it, walk across it. That's what we're meant to do. We're meant to take a step into the next iteration of our divine expression. And every time we get to the next iteration, we hit another green growing edge. I just want to take a little check. How many of you feel personally in your life somewhere that you might be on the green growing edge right now? Oh, look at that. Okay, well, you were in the right place. I know we are as a community. We are totally on a green growing edge right now with bringing circles in and looking at some new ways of doing things with our How team and really kind of recreating some ways that we've done things in the past, doing them differently here in an expansive way, in a deeper way, in a more loving way, in a more connected way. We are absolutely, as a community, on that green growing edge. And I find myself, I personally am on that green growing edge as well. And guess what? It's a little bit scary, isn't it? It's a little bit scary. I talked last week, and I said, if you remember, if you were here last week, I said last week could be considered part one of a two-part talk, and today's the second part. Last week I said when we're on that green growing edge and we choose to walk forward, it's risky. It's risky because we don't know what's going to happen. And there's fear. And I said that there are specific fears that we would talk about next week, and now this is next week. So we're going to talk this morning about 9, we're not going to talk about them actually, we're going to explore them more than just talk. 9 fears that is kind of general to humanity. And then there's one mother of all fears. And we'll get to that one, not quite yet. Don't think I've forgotten it as we're moving through this today, because you're going to wonder, where is it? Don't worry, I'll get to it. But I want to go over the 9 first. And as we do this, I want you to be thinking from a place of really deep love and kindness and compassion to yourself. Which one might be your big one? Because here's the deal. We all have, as human beings, we've learned these. We have all of these. These are all pretty much run in us to some degree, depending on where we are and our upbringing and all that. The level of intensity will be different. So we all have at least some portion of all of these. But generally, there's one that really, that's the one. That's the one that runs me. So by the one, I mean the one that shows up for you fairly regularly. By that, I mean, I don't know, like every 10 minutes or so. There's one. Now, why are we talking about fear? We don't want to talk about the negative. We want to talk about the positive. Well, if we don't identify these and have a plan and a way to deal with them, we will immediately run to our safe problems that we explored last week. We'll run so fast we might not even realize that that's what we're doing, but we will run to those safe problems. And if you don't know what I mean about that, and you weren't here last week, go online and listen, or somehow listen to that talk, because it's really powerful. And listen, it'll really push lots of good buttons in you. All right, so as you hear these and actually see them in a moment, I want you, as I said a minute ago, to tenderly, compassionately, and with great love for yourself, simply ask, so which one of these is driving my bus? Which is the one? So here they are. Number one, fear of being judged as wrong or bad or imperfect. Number two, fear of being worthless, unworthy, or inconsequential. Number three, fear of failure, of being incompetent or unable to do. Are you breathing? Are you all breathing as I'm reading this? Okay, breathe. Number four, fear of being abandoned or ignored. Number five, fear of overwhelm and intrusion. People in my space and I'm overwhelmed. The next one, number six, is the opposite of that, fear of missing out or being limited. Next one, fear of being blamed. Next one, fear of showing weakness and vulnerability. And finally, fear of being unlovable, shut out, or inharmonious. This one would also include a fear of conflict. All right. So as I said, we all have one that is our primary fear. And if you are at the green growing edge of your becoming, that primary fear may kick in. So the question I ask again, what are we going to do about it? Are we going to let it drive the bus, or are we going to drive the bus? Are we going to master fear, or are we going to let fear be our master? So when you look at them again, you can all see them, right? If I'm out of the way, if you can't see, I see a lot of phones coming out to take pictures of those. Have you identified yours, like your primary one? I see two heads shaking. Anybody else? Are you with me? Yeah, have you got it? Have you got the one that's yours? Yeah? Yeah? Okay, because this is what I want us to do. All at the same time, on the count of 3, 2, 1, we're just going to all yell out our primary fear. All right? And you just read it just as it is, just because we just want to get it out here. We want to get it out in the open, okay? So we can dissipate it. So 3, 2, 1. Fear of being judged as wrong, bad, or imperfect. Huh? You got a couple of them, yeah. Well, we all have all of them. And I know there's a couple of on there that vie for number one for me as well. Absolutely. So thank you for your honesty. Thank you for your willingness to play. Thank you for your vulnerability of speaking that out loud. So what do we do with it? What do we do with these fears? Well, I want to give you some steps to support us in mastering our fears. So here's the thing that I don't think, personally, this is my personal belief, that we, as long as we're standing on that green growing edge, I don't think we'll ever eliminate the fear. It's not going to absolutely go away, but we master it. We put ourselves in the driver's seat of the bus versus it driving the bus. We become aware of it, and we do what we know to do with it. But it doesn't mean it's not going to be there. It may well be there. Matter of fact, there's something about it that keeps us sharp, right? It keeps us on our edge. It keeps us, ready. That's what fear really is intended, to keep us ready. And I know I love this. I heard this saying about public speaking. I use this in our homiletics class that we teach here in our ministerial school of that. Every public speaker gets butterflies. Every public speaker gets butterflies. The trick is to teach them to fly in formation, right? So we all get butterflies in fear. The mastery of it is to not let them control us, but teach them to fly in formation. So I want to give you a couple of steps for mastering fear. And the first step is practice non-resistance. Practice non-resistance. Suppressing fear is resistance. Denying fear is resistance. Spiritually bypassing fear is resistance. What do I mean by spiritually bypassing? I mean, instead of feeling it, immediately going to, it's all good, it's all God. And that is true. It is all good, and it is all God. But when we use that to bypass our feeling, that is resistance. I love this quote that Catherine McDowell, I think, Reverend Catherine McDowell sent to, I think, or Reverend Sandra, it might have been you. I can't remember now. Somebody, one of my colleagues, sent an article on spiritual bypass out. Thank you. It was Catherine. Thank you. And it was written by Ingrid Matthew, and it was an article that appeared in Psychology Today. And she wrote, spiritual bypass is a spiritual practice in the service of repression. Usually because we cannot tolerate what we are feeling or think we shouldn't be experiencing what we are feeling. So spiritual bypass is resistance. Wanting your fear to go away is resistance. Trying to make your fear go away is resistance. Judging it as wrong or bad is resistance. And as the Borg said in Star Trek Next Generation, resistance is futile. Now I know who my Trekkers are out there. Well, in this case, that is absolutely correct. Florence Scovel Shinn, who is a pioneer of New Thought in her book, The Game of Life and How to Play It, said, so long as we resist a situation, we will have it with us. So rather than resist, practice non-resistance. Don't try to suppress it. Allow yourself to feel it. Don't deny its existence. Acknowledge it and feel it. Don't spiritually bypass it. Feel it. Don't try to make it go away or wish it weren't there. Feel it. And please, please, please don't judge it or you as being wrong for having it. Just feel it. Do you hear a theme there? Did you just feel it? Nike said just do it. Well, I'm saying just feel it. Just feel it. Just allow it to be and feel it. So now I said, we're not just going to talk about this. We're going to go deep into this. You identified your main, or Jared has several, so you can have several, Jared. Your main fear, and many of you said you're on your green growing edge right now, so that fear is hanging out. So I want you just for a moment to close your eyes and let yourself be afraid. It's okay. It's okay to feel that. Just give it a little love. This is a moment where there's a little extra grace required. Give yourself a little extra grace. Just in this moment. Just in this moment. And then stay there. You can even keep your eyes closed if you want. Because from this sweet place of openness, acceptance, just allowing yourself to, I feel that. It doesn't feel good, but I feel it. We can move to the next step, if you will, in absolutely mastering fear, which is forgiveness. Forgiveness. Forgive ourselves for feeling this fear. And if tears come, tears are so cleansing, it's all right. So just say to yourself softly or on your inside voice or just a soft outside voice, I forgive myself for having this fear that I am feeling right now. Breathe. I forgive myself for having this fear that I'm feeling right now. And feel that forgiveness just wash over you. Just wash over you. Let it wash, let it wash, let it wash. Now come back to me in the room, and when you're ready, just open your eyes. Practicing non-resistance, and then forgiving ourselves. 2 steps to mastery over the fear. If you just try to ignore it, it'll just stay. It'll hang on. It'll get stronger. But being non-resistant to it, allowing yourself to feel it, then forgiving yourself for it, huge steps in putting you back in the driver's seat of the bus of your life. So before I speak about the 3rd step, and there is one final one, I want to share with you the mother of all fears. Because that one sits at the core of all, and I want to share it now. I just purposefully put it here because the 3rd step really helps us address this big fear. Ernest Holmes referred to it in the Science Mind textbook. I want to share his quote, and then I want to take it a little deeper because I think it's even deeper than what Ernest said. So on page 156 of the textbook, Ernest Holmes wrote, someone has said that the entire world is suffering from one big fear, the fear that God will not answer our prayers. But I think it's a little bit deeper than that. It's the fear that if I step out to my green growing edge of becoming, if I take the risk to do something amazing, if I jump off that ledge in my parachute, remember our Steve Harvey video we had last week? If I fail, if I crash and burn, if I don't succeed, then that must mean that I am disconnected from Source. That must mean that I am not one with the One. Everybody else is, but I must not be because I failed. And the thought of that is so terrifying that we won't try. The thought of risking finding out that we're not one with the One, that God is not our source, that Spirit isn't there 150% of the time, is so terrifying that it'll keep us back from the ledge. So breathe. 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 Because I want you to hear these next words I'm going to say. I want you to hear them with your ears, with your head, and most importantly, with your heart. You are eternally connected to Source. You are one with the One. You cannot not be. I will say those again. Breathe them in as I say them. You are eternally connected to Source. You are one with the One. You cannot not be. So let's say that together, just softly. We won't even get in our power stance because there's a softness in this room right now I want to keep. So if you want to put your hands on your heart, however you want it, but just say with me, I am eternally connected to Source. I am eternally connected to Source. I am one with the One. I cannot not be. That's the truth. That is the truth. So knowing that truth, we can step out on that edge. We can take the third step of mastering our fear. We can do it knowing that we are one with the one, that we are connected to Source. We cannot not be. And that third step to mastering fear, are you ready for it? Are we ready to hear it? Because you may not like it once you see it. Here it is. Feel the fear. There's a book written by this. And do it anyway. Remembering that you've got the universe behind you, through you, in you, and as you. And if it feels like you get a little bit bruised along the way, if it feels like, remember the Steve Harvey video where he said your parachute doesn't open right away and you may slam up against the rocks a little bit, right? If that happens, that doesn't mean that you failed. It just means the parachute hasn't opened yet. But you will soar because you have the universe behind you, in you, as you, and through you. So you pick yourself up and you do it again. I'm getting all emotional right now. I have a firm belief in divine do-overs. I love divine do-overs. We always have a chance to do it again, to pick ourselves up and do it again. So we're going to have an amazing example of that right now. Hold on a moment. So, little backstory. Last Saturday, well, even before that, I had requested a song for last Sunday. It's called Invisible Hands by J.D. Martin. It was so perfect for our theme last Sunday. And so I had requested Pam that she let Riley Webb, our singer, know that that's the song I wanted. Well, Riley was out of town the whole week and didn't know the song, and we thought she was going to sing it. And on last Saturday, we find out that Riley is not going to sing that song. And so Pam reached out to Michael. He was a great singer. She reached out to Michael and said, Michael, would you be willing to sing Invisible Hands? And he stepped up at that green ledge and sort of jumped off and said, yes, I will. And knowing Michael as I do, he probably practiced that song from the moment he got the word to Sunday morning. And I heard the Sunday morning practice happening, and it was beautiful. I heard it from my office. It was beautiful. And then it came time for Michael to sing it. And he said to me, we talked this week, he said, I hit my upper limit. And things did not go exactly with that song as he can do. Because he can soar that. I know he can soar that song. And so I said, Michael, would you be willing to do a divine do-over? Because I know your parachute will open for that song and you can do it. And I want you to do it for you, and I want you to do it for us, because I know there's somebody out there who feels like they tried it didn't work, and so forget it, I'm not going to try it again. But you can. So, are you ready for that divine do-over? Here we go.
Child believes he'll live his dreams. His prayers are heard, he fears no thunder. And when he falls, he safely lands, guided by invisible hands. When a mother cries, she hides her tears, so the Lord provides, but you can't help wonder who'll give her child what his heart demands. Oh, invisible hand, lost in the darkness, we are lifted by love, weapon in somebody here. And if we dare to make that leap of faith, somehow the bridge appears. When a silent storm knocks me down, and the tide and times pull me under, Pam Marita. Lost in the darkness, we all lifted by love, whispering somebody hears. And if we dare to make that leap of faith, somehow the bridge appears. When a child believes, he lives his dreams. His prayers are heard, he fears no thunder. When he falls, he safely lands, guided by invisible hands. Whoa, invisible hands. Whoa, invisible hands. Thank you.
That was a divine do-over. Ernest Holmes in It's Up to You said we must concede that God is for us. This done, we have at once overcome the fear by seeing that there is nothing to be afraid of. Let us meet the world constructively as a gloriously becoming thing, knowing that the kingdom of God inhabits every soul. No one has ever tried and failed in conscious cooperation with the universe itself. No one has ever tried and failed in conscious cooperation with the universe itself. Today, and every day moving forward from today, let us no longer be slaves to fear. Let us release the chains of fear and gain mastery so that we can live at that green growing edge. So we spread our wings, so that we soar into our ever-expanding creativity, the ever-expanding expression of the divine that we are, and that we take that joy meter up and up and up and up. Are you ready to say yes to that? Yes, yes, yes.